All right, the Big Leagues podcast back with another video here. We brought in our buddy Jack here, break down the Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis fight this weekend. We got Sean Strickland defending his belt against Du Plessis. Both fighters are 6'1" with a 76-inch reach. And Sean Strickland's a minus 130 favorite, Du Plessis plus 110 underdog. Jack, you're a pretty big Sean Strickland guy. Why don't you give us your initial thoughts?
I think this is a great matchup, to be honest with you. I am a big Strickland fan. I do think that you're going to see a later round, either KO or it goes to decision, and it's going to Strickland. And I think it's because his defense, his cardio, everything, I think he beats Du Plessis in that matter. He just has to, defend the quick burst that Du Plessis brings and try to watch out for some of the big shots that he throws. But I think that if he does that and kind of, stays on the feet and lands his shots when he can, tire out Du Plessis and then take advantage in the later rounds. Because Du Plessis never gone in a 5-round fight. So I think that in the later rounds, combined with Strickland's cardio and defense, will really lay it on then.
Isaac?
For me, I'm going to take Du Plessis by either probably, I'd think, second or third round TKO because I feel that Du Plessis got significantly more power than Strickland.
Yeah.
And I think he's a much better wrestler than Strickland. So I could see him maybe hitting them with some power shots, taking the fight to the ground, and I could see him finishing Strickland on the ground early in the fight. But I think for Strickland, really, he's got to, like Jack said, try to take it to the later rounds, use his cardio and stamina to try to get a bunch of flurry shots on Du Plessis and either win a decision or like a late round finish, I think.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I feel like Strickland's kind of one-dimensional in a way where, he doesn't really have that one-shot KO that Du Plessis does. So for Strickland to win, he's going to have to just take Du Plessis into deep waters and just break him over the course of 5 rounds. And I just think that Du Plessis is just going to take the fight to him and go at him, and I think he has a really good chance to clip him with some power shots. Strickland's honestly, he's got pretty good takedown defense, and I think his grappling's really underrated. But I just think he doesn't really use it offensively very much, where Du Plessis, if you go back and watch some of his previous fights, he took down Brunson, who's all-American wrestler. He's landed some takedowns in most of his last fights. He's really good at working them in and timing them really well, mixing that up with strikes and then landing a takedown when you're not really expecting it. And he's just so jacked. He's huge. I think he's gonna kind of get Strickland worried about the hands and then land a takedown. And then we've seen he's got really good top control. His MMA top control is really good. He lands huge elbows. He hurts people. I think he has a good chance to hurt Strickland on the ground, cut him open with elbows. And I just think, he's just got more ways to win this fight. He's got a lot of submissions, and what do you guys think about the press conference there that they had where Du Plessis made comments that Strickland didn't really like? Do you think that he's gonna fight emotional and that he might kind of get caught in a Jose Aldo situation where he runs into a big shot?
I mean, for me, I definitely think he's gonna fight emotional. I think we even saw at the press conference and also at 296, it was on site when he saw him basically.
He apparently he DM'd him that he's gonna stab him.
Yeah.
No.
Go ahead, Jack.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think that Strickland's very emotional about that. Du Plessis definitely struck a nerve going there. I thought it was kind of out of line for Strickland to say that Du Plessis crossed the line with kind of some of the stuff that Strickland goes on about. But I do think that some of that beef has been squashed because I don't know if you guys saw recently, I think it was yesterday even.
It was on the embedded video they posted. They met up at the airport there.
Yeah, and Strickland DM'd him saying if there's anything that you don't want me to talk about, then I won't.
Oh really? I didn't see this. I just saw they both landed at the airport and went over and dapped up and introduced each other's families and stuff. So I thought that was cool to see that, even despite maybe some harsh words, that they still kind of shook hands man to man and respected each other. I thought that was cool.
I didn't know that happened, so I could see Strickland coming in less emotional now. But I just thought kind of how he was taking that, and we've seen before, like when people not when people bring it up, but when he talks about kind of what his past, like he tends to get somewhat emotional. So I thought he was going to be coming in like just ready to kill Du Plessis, and maybe that'd be working Du Plessis' favor. But if they squashed, and then I think that's a better game for Strickland.
The only thing is, like, for Strickland, I could see that almost like helping him, where he would just turn into an animal and just like not be able to lose. I think that could help him. One thing too, I just want to point out with Strickland, like, he's champion, he earned it, but it's not like he's like, I don't know. I don't feel great about him as champ, to be completely honest. He got knocked out by Pereira, got like put out cold. Then he lost a split decision to Jared Cannonier, which, in all fairness to him, I thought he won that fight. So take that loss how you will. Then he beats Nasruddin Imavov, who's like a decent middleweight, but he's nothing special. Then he beats Abus Magomedov, who just crumbled after like half a round. He couldn't fight. He was too exhausted. So take that, like, I would take that one with a grain of salt. And then he fights Izzy, who he beat Izzy like fair and square. I don't want to take anything away from him, but to me, I don't know. I just feel like Izzy had a bad off night. Like, I think you run that fight 100 times. I think Adesanya wins 95. The only other thing too, Izzy could be getting up in age, so like that could be part of it. And I think Strickland's coach like had a really good game plan for Izzy. And the thing too with Strickland and Adesanya is that Strickland's such a like good pressure fighter, and he understands distance so well from sparring like all day every day pretty much. And Adesanya is more of like a counter striker where he waits for you to throw and then tries to counter you. He's not like putting pressure on you. So I think if Du Plessis is able to put pressure on Strickland, I think that would be a big advantage for him.
I also think in the Adesanya fight, Strickland hurt Adesanya bad in the first round. I think that kind of tampered his performance for the rest of the 4 rounds, because like even after he dropped him, like those shots that Izzy absorbed where he's just swinging like a man, like that does like that damage just doesn't go away. So I feel like the reason why it was such a domination because Izzy was probably hurt after that first round,
and he just caught him flush. Like it was just a perfect shot that like the amount of times you would get that, like it's so low. So I don't know. I know, Jack, I know you got some comment to say here.
Well, do I think that Izzy was, he's definitely not looking like he did in full form, but I gotta say in that fight, Strickland did look really good. His defense, he's impeccable. He was putting the pressure on the whole time. He had Izzy on the back foot the whole time, which I think is really hard to fight out of. And his stamina, he didn't look like he tired at all. And I think that's gonna be a big thing this fight, because watching with some of Du Plessis stuff, he tires early. And I know he did get that his deviated septum fixed. Yeah, which he says improves the stamina. I do think that's true to an extent, but he's never lasted, like he's never had a fight over 3 rounds. So I think that's going to play a big deal into it.
Yeah. I mean, like, we kind of went through last couple like Strickland fights, so I'll just whip through last couple Du Plessis fights. He made his debut in 2020, knocked a guy out first round, knocked another guy out second round. He fought Brad Tavares, who's like a good veteran who's been around a long time, like good takedown defense, good fighter. He beat him unanimous decision. Then he subbed Darren Till, knocked out Brunson in round 2, and then he goes up against Whitaker, who's like, he's like, other than Adesanya, he's been by far the best middleweight, and he just destroyed Whitaker, which shocked the whole MMA world. Like, he was a huge underdog. Everyone was rocking with Whitaker, and he just went in and just demolished him. So I think Du Plessis got a lot of momentum built up, and I don't know. I feel like Strickland, honestly, after winning that title, like I feel like he says, "Oh, like the title, like it means nothing. It's under a pile of dirty clothes in my room." But I think that title kind of got to Strickland's head. Like, oh, I see him all over social media all the time, running his mouth. Like, I think Du Plessis is hungry for that, and I think Strickland kind of got to his head a little.
I mean, I can see that, but I feel like Strickland's the type of guy that and especially after what Du Plessis said, I think he's going to take it super serious. I think
I'm not saying he's not taking it serious. Like Strickland, all he does is train. He works hard. I don't want to insinuate that he's not taking it serious, but yeah.
Yeah. What's your
I
thoughts on
do.
that?
I think there's a couple X factors in this fight that are going kind of untalked about. For one, Strickland's coach, as you mentioned, David, he
Yeah.
did a really good job against Adesanya, but I think all around he's just one of the best coaches in the UFC, and
Yeah,
I think that's going to play a big role into that in Strickland's game plan in the fight. Another thing I think is worth mentioning is that Strickland, he learns and he spars a lot. So like after he got knocked out by Pereira, his next training camp was with Pereira, learning how to strike better, how to defend better against those strikes. There's clips recently that surfaced. He was training with Ankalaev on the ground, and he was holding his own fairly well there. So I think that's another thing worth noting. And
just about
lastly,
another. He's been training a lot recently with Johnny Edlin, who's the champ, either PFL or Bellator. I don't remember, but a lot of people think that he could even be the best middleweight on the planet. So
yeah,
that's another
and
high-profile guy that he's been working with.
he also put on a lot. Like I don't know if you've seen any recent pictures of him. He looks juiced. Like, and then there's also that other saying that I always see Joe Rogan going on about. He says that once you become a champion, you get 30% better. So
yeah, that's
I
Teddy.
think all those things are kind of
That says that, like a legendary boxing guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great fight. I mean, what do you think happens like with the winner? Do you think it's Adesanya? Do you think it's Pereira? Not Pereira. Hamzat. What do you guys think is next?
I think that if Strickland wins it and Adesanya is healthy and is looking in form, then I'd say they're gonna do a rematch of that. But if not, if Adesanya is not healthy, or if Du Plessis wins, then I could definitely see Khamzat getting that.
You guys call? You think Khamzat would get the title shot before Islam? Because I know Islam's been, or I guess I'm sorry, I was thinking welterweight. I think Khamzat. I mean, I'm not sure if he's the next in line. I know Dana talked about it, but I thought he was mentioning before the Usman fight that he was going to get the next title shot. But then
that was the thing. Like the winner of that was supposed to fight for the title, but I guess Khamzat broke his hand or whatever. So and it was like he was not ready to go. So
they went to Du Plessis, I guess. But I was just, I mean, I guess they could go Khamzat. I was just wondering why they didn't go straight to him after they kind of promised the winner of Usman. And
I think it was just I just don't think he was ready to go for that. I think it's what it was, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think if this fight goes, if the winner doesn't take too much damage, I think we could possibly see them defend on UFC 300 because we still got at least 2 more fights, I would assume, for that to be announced, like title fights. So I think that could be a possibility. I think if Adesanya is ready to go, like for the next title shot, because he's been talking about maybe like taking some time or whatever. I think if he's ready to go, I mean, you got a great storyline there with both guys, like with him getting the rematch against Strickland, and then him and Du Plessis with the whole inside the octagon interaction there.
I feel if Adesanya was gonna, because he said he's gonna take a 3-year break. I feel like if he's gonna come back, which I think he will, definitely before them 3 years. I think his next fight would be against Pereira. To be honest, I mean,
it's possible.
Called him out, and Adesanya I'm pretty sure he put a post on his Instagram like saying, like trolling everybody, saying he was fighting Pereira, and then he took it down. But I mean, I just don't think I'm not sure if he wants Strickland. I mean, I'm not saying he's scared of Strickland, but I'm not sure if the UFC wants to make that fight again. I mean, there's not too many top guys in the middleweight division that makes more sense than Adesanya. So I feel like it's a tough fight to make for the winner.
I think it depends too. Like, I mean, that Adesanya Pereira UFC trilogy is like that's probably the biggest fight within those 2 divisions, I would say. But at the same time, at light heavyweight, you got Jamal Hill was promised, like for his return fight, he'd refight for the title after his injury, and Ankalaev too's knocking at that door. So
for a title shot too.
They definitely got options there. I don't know. I almost wonder too, like. A lot of people, a huge fight would be Khamzat versus Adesanya. I wonder if they would do that for like a number 1 contender fight.
They definitely
could. I think one thing too to know, I think Izzy's kind of scared of Pereira. I'm not gonna lie. Like, do I think he wants to go up and fight him?
David,
I don't know.
Clean out?
David doesn't like to hear.
You think he's scared of him after fighting him 5 times and knocking him spark out?
I feel like
Sally
Adesanya's kind of nervous since he's lost his touch. I mean, he just lost the belt to Strickland in his last three. He's 1-2 in his last 3 fights. So I think he's kind of nervous that he's lost the touch a little and doesn't want to, go back knocking on that door to Prayer, who's looking better than he ever has.
I don't think he would do it I don't think he wants it at middleweight, but I think if he had a chance to go up to light heavyweight and possibly win the belt, I think
he'd be more confident at middleweight than light heavyweight.
Well, yeah, for sure, but I think that to go up and take that light heavyweight belt off Pereira, I think that's extra motivation because that's what
well, we saw
when to do that to stick it to him.
I think Izzy's definitely more of a because when he went up to fight Jan, Jan was just kind of bigger than him, and
he's just too small.
So I don't know if he actually. I feel like Pereira's the title holder, so I guess it'd have to be at light heavyweight. But I feel like Adesanya would way rather be at middleweight than go up for sure.
Definitely.
In a vacuum, I'd say yes. I just think with that title implications and that storyline to kind of see who can one up the other, I think that would be some extra motivation. Yeah. Anyone got some any other thoughts on the fight?
Well, one thing that I was kind of thinking when I was watching the film on the two fighters is just that their fighting styles, and I think that Strickland's kind of counters Du Plessis really well, because I feel like Du Plessis, when I watch Du Plessis fight, he kind of comes at you in these bursts, and if you can defend that burst and kind of land a counter strike, then I think that would do very well against Du Plessis' kind of style, and I think that Strickland, especially with his coach, his sparring abilities and his defense and cardio, I think that just favors him very much in this fight.
Yeah, I think although that is true to an extent, but it looked to me in that Whitaker fight he kind of refined those uncontrolled bursts. I mean,
true.
I think we'll still probably see some just to maybe see if he could catch Strickland, but I think he has refined his game a lot, and that Whitaker fight was just such a great performance that I just see that momentum carrying over, and I just see Strickland getting sparked again.
Sparked?
He's getting his head bounced, isn't he?
Oh, boys, come on here. Let's just be honest with ourselves. We both know that Strickland's going to defend, and then 4th round, 5th round, he's going to show Du Plessis who's daddy.
Well, I just by 3 rounds, you're going to be handing me my $20 bill. So.
Yeah, what are we saying for? We'll maybe have to put something on the line here for this, Jack.
Well, I already got a $20 bet going with Goose, but I can do one with you as well if you want some of that action.
We'll be in chats on that. How confident are you on Strickland here, H? On this podcast previously, I put my hair on the line with Canelo. Are you willing to put up a buzz?
Oh, hell no. Hell no. No chance of I putting that on the line. I feel like that Canelo fight was, you're fairly confident. Most people would be fairly confident in saying that Canelo would have won. But with this one, I mean, it's close. It's a close fight. Do I think it's going to be a cakewalk for Strickland? Hell no. But I just think that, he's going to show why he's that guy and pull out the W.
Yeah, sounds to me like you're ducking the smoke because Du Plessis is gonna fuck Strickland just like his father.
Oh. You're lucky Strickland didn't hear that, or else he'd be coming after you.
I'd never say that to Strickland.
We don't want him pulling up on us.
True.
He's shanking you.
Sorry, Sean. Don't stab me. Yeah, we got a pretty great main event. Rest of the card not looking too hot. Couple of decent Canadians, a decent fight here or there, but nothing really too special. The UFC was just saving up their fights for the future.
Yeah.
Jack, thanks for joining us. It was nice to have you on, and we'll be looking forward to seeing Strickland's head getting bounced off the canvas, and we'll be back in the future to break down these other big cards coming up.